Ladies and gentlemen, this presentation is about mangrove ecosystems with special reference to Philippine mangrove. Mangroves are various types of trees up to medium height and shrubs that grow in saline coastal sediment habitats in the tropics and subtropics. They are sometimes called mangrove swamp, mangrove forest, or simply mangrove. They dominate about 3/4 of tropical coastlines and thrives on areas where wave energy is typically low. Mangroves protect coastal areas from erosion, storm surges, and tsunamis. Here's a typical mangrove patch during a high tide. Worldwide, there are about 150,000 square kilometers of mangroves, with the bulk of the forest seen in Southeast Asia, followed by South America. Here's the worldwide distribution map of mangrove. Note that most of the mangroves are located at the tropical belt and below it. Most of the mangrove forests are located at 5 to 15 degrees north latitude. The Amazon forest is located at 3 degrees north, while the Philippines is at 13 degrees north latitude. Greater species diversity of mangroves are observed between 20 degrees south and 20 degrees north. Mangroves are evergreen plants with thick leathery leaves designed to minimize transpiration. Most are viviparous species where seed germinate on the trees and falls down in a germinating condition. These are called propagules and are characteristics of Rhizosphoraceae. Here are typical propagules still attached to the parent tree. A propagule develops from a seed that germinates while still attached to the parent tree. The parent supplies the seedling with nutrients and water until it becomes heavy and drops off. Its pointed end sticks in the mud or it flows away to colonize another area. The mangrove mud is rather anaerobic or poor in oxygen and unstable, and different plants have root adaptations to cope with these conditions, and these include stilt roots, pneumatophores, root knees, and plank roots. The roots and branches also show lenticels, which are small pores that allow gaseous interchange. Here's a typical stilt roots from mangroves. Stilt roots are roots that develop from the trunk and lower branches. As they spread, they provide anchorage for the mangrove against rising tide and storm currents and winds. Pneumatophores are erect roots that are some form of upward appendage or extension of the underground root system. Because these roots are exposed at least part of the day and not submerged underwater, the root system can obtain oxygen in an otherwise anaerobic substrate. Root knees are horizontal roots that go upward and downward and also provide firm anchor for the mangrove tree. Plank roots are horizontal roots that grow vertically upwards on the upper side for the entire length. They also curve in a snake-like fashion. Wavy, plank-like structures radiate outwards from the trunk base. The exposed vertical portions help in aeration, and the widely spreading roots help improve anchorage in the unstable mud. On these roots are lenticels, that are small pores that absorb oxygen when exposed to the air at low tide. Mangroves are facultative halophytes, which mean that salt water is not the physical requirement for growth. They can live in freshwater, brackish water, or saltwater environments. They exclude salt and are able to extrude salt through glands in the leaves. Mangroves regulate ionic concentration by excreting salt through glands on the leaf surface. Here's a typical salt extrusion in a mangrove leaf. Salt particles are extruded and crystallized on the leaf surface. Mangroves disperse propagule via water with varying degrees of vivifary or embryonic development while the propagule is still attached to the parent tree. Most mangrove species belong to families Myrtales and Rhizosporales. There is one true mangrove species that is a monocot and belongs to family Palmae. Concerning mangrove taxonomy, there are 9 species of mangrove from family Acanthaceae, 14 species from family Combretaceae, 1 species from Arecaceae, 17 species in family Rhizosporaceae, and 5 species from family Lithoraceae. Worldwide, there are about 54 species of true mangroves and 60 species of mangrove associates. In the Philippines, there are conflicting reports about the number of species present, ranging from 39 to 85 species. The latest report had it at 40 species. The major mangrove genera reported in the Philippines are Avicennia, Acanthus, Noguera, Seriops, Pinlaysonia, Candelia, Lumnicera, Rhizospora, Soneratia, and Nipa, while the minor mangrove species are Acrosticium, Aegiceras, Excortaria, Heritiera, Osbornia, Pempis, Planconella, Sipipora, and Xylocarpus. The genera of mangrove associates reported in the Philippines include Acanthus, Barringtonia, Tonloya, Calophyllum, Cerbera, Clerodendrum, Crinum, Sinometra, Dolicandrone, Inocarpus, Instia, Hibiscus, Morinda, Pandanus, Pongamia, Scabola, Despecia, and Terminalia. Here's a picture of Avicennia mangrove. This plant grows as a shrub or tree to a height of 3 to 14 meters. The leaves are thick, 5 to 8 centimeters long, a bright glossy green on the upper surface, and silvery white or gray with very small matted hairs on the surface below. It has aerial roots or pneumatophores that grow to a height of about 20 centimeters and a diameter of 1 centimeter. The flowers range from white to a golden yellow color, while the fruits contain large cotyledons that surrounds the new stem of the seedling. Rhizospora mangroves are distinguished from the other genera by their still fruits and flower calyces with 4 pointed lobes, 6 to 16 stamens, and a separate fruiting body and viviparous cylindrical propagules. Here's a picture of Candelia candel, a mangrove species present in the Philippines only at Baler, Aurora province. It belongs to family Rhizosporaceae. It forms cylindrical viviparous propagules. Here's a photograph of Soneratia. Known as apple mangrove, it is locally called pagatpat in Bataan and Pampanga. This tree may grow up to 20 meters in height and with a trunk reaching a maximum diameter of 50 centimeters. Fruits enclose a firm pulp embedded with numerous small seeds that commonly germinate on exposed mud banks. Nipa fruticans, commonly known as Nipa palm, is the only member of its genus Nipa, which is in turn the only member of the subfamily Nipoidea. The leaves are usually harvested and used as roofing materials, while flower clusters can be tapped before it blooms to yield a sweet, edible sap collected to produce a local alcoholic beverage called tuba. Tuba can be stored in tapayan or earthen vases for several weeks to make a kind of vinegar known as sukam bongbong in Bulacan. The phenology of mangrove species is influenced by season and climate. Note that the Philippines has 4 types of climate. Type 1 climate has 2 pronounced seasons, dry from November to April and wet during the rest of the year. Type 2 has no dry season, with a pronounced rainfall from November to January. In Type 3 climate, the seasons are not very pronounced, relatively dry from November to April and wet during the rest of the year. In Type 4 climate, rainfall is more or less evenly distributed throughout the year. Here's the phenology of Rhizophora apiculata in the Philippines, locally known as Bakawan Lalaki. Here's the phenology of Rhizophora macronata in the Philippines, locally known as Bakawan Babae. The phenology of Rhizophora stylosa in the Philippines, locally known as Bakawan Bato. A recent publication by Valenzuela et al., published in the International Journal of Marine Ecology, dealt with species biodiversity in a mangrove forest in Badian, Cebu. The study reported 3 species of migratory birds, 4 species of sponges, 1 species of cnidarian, 9 species of echinoderm, 3 species of insects, 2 species of spiders, 6 species of mollusks, 4 species of crustaceans, 1 species of mangrove skink, 5 seagrass species, and 3 macroalgal species found in the mangrove forest in Badian, Cebu. The following series of slides are the representative organisms present in a mangrove forest. are essential to the first link in the food chain. When their leaves fall into the water and are decomposed by bacteria, many valuable nutrients are released that are essential to the growth of plankton. The planktons are the producers in these and oceanic ecosystems. In the Philippines, 66 out of 82 provinces contain mangrove and covers a total area of 256,185 hectares as of 2011. The largest areas are found in Palawan and Sulu. Since the first report of mangrove in the Philippines in 1918, estimated at 500,000 hectares, the mangrove covers dwindled to about 250,000 hectares today. Of the more than 50,000 hectares of Palawan mangrove, only about 39,000 hectares were covered for protection by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Ecologically, mangroves act as buffer zone between land and sea, lessening the impact of storm surges and tsunamis. They protect the coast from erosion due to wind, waves, and water current. They absorb sea and air pollution. Mangrove also serve as breeding, feeding, and nursery grounds for many estuarine and marine organisms, and a sanctuary for migratory avifauna. They are important in the preservation of marine and coastal biodiversity and provide aesthetic and opportunities for tourism. Economically, mangroves are also a source of a vast range of wood and non-wood forest products, including timber, wood for fuel, charcoal, roofing materials, fodder, honey, pulp, tannin, and medicine. They are considered very large unexplored potential for natural products useful for medicinal purposes and also for salt production, apiculture, fisheries products, fuel and fodder, and others. Mangroves also provide opportunities for education, scientific research, and ecotourism. Examples of products derived from mangrove include wood for construction material, charcoal for fuel, honey, and tannins. Other products include nipa leaves for roofing material, sap for vinegar and alcoholic beverages, and many others. The natural threats to mangrove include climate change, such as rising sea level caused by global warming, cyclones, typhoons, and strong wave action, damage from barnacles, crabs, oysters, gastropods, from wildlife, insect pests, and with competition, all pose threats to the survival of mangrove forest. But the biggest threats to mangroves are anthropogenic or man-made causes, and includes urban development, conversion of mangrove to other agricultural uses such as ponds, overharvesting, river changes and diversion of waterways, destruction of coral reef, and pollution. For example, the expansion of aquaculture in the Philippines in 1981 ushered a massive conversion of mangrove forest into brackish water ponds and the decline of mangrove cover. In like manner, the rise in human population in the Philippines ushered the decline of mangrove covers due to land conversion and urbanization. Recommended measures to conserve mangrove forest include community involvement in reforestation programs and training of those involved in the conservation efforts. Mangrove forests are among the most productive terrestrial ecosystems and are a renewable resource. Mangroves are not a marvel just for their adaptations, but also for the significant role they play in our environment. It would be in our best interest to preserve and protect them. This ends the presentation. Thank you for listening.